Ciao Bambini, and an extra special ciao to the Reverend Dr. Colin Alexander.
All day, every day. That's Professor Reverend to you.
how,
Doctor
how,
Reverend.
the Reverend Dr. Colin Alexander. I was waiting for that. Right? This is we got a second in without and got a drag reference going. So how have you been?
Listen, looking
How are
up.
the sort of 7 minutes between last week's episode and this week's episode? What did you get up to?
Well, I had my first swim since like last autumn, so that was great. Used to be able to like clear 20 laps in like 20 minutes, half an hour, and now 10 laps sort of really takes it out of me. So it was a rude awakening up and being like basically naked under fluorescent light whilst like Celine Dion plays on like the public radio. Rude awakening, yeah, bad times,
Yeah,
but it was I loved it. It was great.
that's some American Horror Story tableau. I think that's definitely
That's
retail
yeah.
hell.
That's yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's our favorite. Get back to retail. What about you? How was your week?
Um, well, we're up in Hobart for a few days because I'm medium high confident that whilst Tasmania has skipped the ongoing deranged imprisonments of the mainland, that can only last so long. So I'm like, we'll do that. It's James's birthday on Monday, so and Monday's a shit day to go anywhere, even if you're not in regional Tasmania. So we're doing something on the Saturday night instead, and
Ooh,
that's my week. Yeah. Again,
is
it just
it
seems like you're going.
is it the big one? And by that I mean, of course, 30 for him, or are we there yet?
No comment. No, it's not.
Sorry, James, that's shady.
No, it's not. He's like that death clock for him starts ticking on Monday, and then he's got 365
Oh,
more days of being 28 before he also turns 29.
of course, of course. And then it's back, like the clock just goes back and it's back to like 24. So that's fine.
Pretty much, pretty much. All right. And so today we are going to be talking about the garden in a little bit, but I mean, what else? What should we talk to people about first? Do you want to talk about the merch border kind of stuff that happened? If we
The
move
board,
into
yes.
yes. All right. Let's have you had your own border troubles this week, so let me just
The border crisis.
the border
Indeed, I
crisis.
did.
All right. So let's and again, like what we want to say is that remember how last week people in the chat and people watching this that we are going to be doing some more merch using actual images from it and not just the amazing logo. Like I said, the beanie is a game changer. I do recommend it. But as a result, we kind of needed a border for merch rather than the cards. So talk about what's going on
Yes.
here.
So my initial reaction, we were talking about another round of merch, and I was like, and we've been talking about that, like that was going to be in the situation initially, but we were talking about it, like I can't have just like a t-shirt with a big square because it gives me PTSD from when I worked in Blockbuster, and you were like advertising whatever fucking movie, whatever Blockbuster, but what sticks out is Casino Royale's cheap t-shirt with like just a big rubber poster sort of printed on your chest, and it looks terrible. It doesn't feel great. So I thought, right, let's get a border and make it look more like more than it just being slapped on a t-shirt. And also we have the border to consider for the cards. So just start like exploring that and kind of get into it and see what we can do. This is a part of the border, a part of the card back that we started to explore at the beginning. If you can all cast your minds back to, I'm going to say May, March. When did we start?
God, look, we're in the apocalypse. Who knows?
Of
Like,
course.
first of all, it's only 5 minutes between episode, and second of all, we've been doing this for 50 years.
Of course. It really feels like, in a good way, it does. It feels like this is just life, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. I think
um,
that was the spell that I wanted for this, right? Like, I look forward to this. Like, I look forward to this gay little show every week because
It's a little pick me
Yeah.
up. So yeah, so the black and white here is because it would be a black t-shirt and a white t-shirt. But mostly this is just we're showing it not because we're trying to sell the merch. That will be in 2 weeks' time. But just to kind of give a sense of what a border would look like on the cards at this point, not with the title, obviously.
Yeah. So do you
And
think
starting to kind of
obviously I don't know, like do you think I like this for merch, but do you think it's a bit too it's a bit too much in the corners for the actual cards themselves? What do you think?
yeah, this was just thrown on from what we had kind of when we
Yeah.
looked at the card back. So it's as just like it's the beginning of the process. I
Yeah.
think like with what you were saying last week with the Provet deck and the sort of more rustic hand kind of stenciled look, something that's like not basic but just looks more earthen. I don't know. It's we
Yeah,
will
I know exactly.
we'll
Yeah.
parse it out in the Telegram group because I'll share sort of developments as they go. But this is just like just kicking it off and getting it kind of getting it in the general sort of population putting eyes on it. Let's see what people
Yeah.
think about it.
So
Um,
the key thing I think you mentioned there is that what we absolutely do want is something that looks hand drawn, like a
yeah, yeah,
Provet
yeah.
deck. Like we definitely, and you can see that here, right? Like so it's got like the hand drawn red on it,
Mhm.
and that is definitely a direction I think we go in. I think that's yeah,
But it wouldn't
that's
be. I don't think it would be red as
no, I
well.
don't think so either.
That's just the line work from the original. To give us a kind of a look and feel of what, because really, other than the stencil that I've used to show images, we've not really had any kind of indication of what a border would look like. So develop that, get the inset and the title. So we decided that we want each card to be titled like the clouds or the ship. So that will be in there at
Yeah,
the bottom, I reckon.
the twink,
And
the
just kind of
butt.
get
Yeah,
yeah the butt the
yeah,
butt card,
the
our
butt,
favorite
the twink.
card. And by the way, anyone is welcome to go back to that episode. That was like a manically fun episode because our true selves, I think they came to the surface there. um, but
Yeah,
yeah. So this is just initial thoughts, prayers, all welcome. Let's move along. We wanted to talk about we're taking a break next week because we're at that.
yeah,
This is card 20 we're getting into, and we said every 10 cards we're going to take like a planned break. So in 2 weeks, we shall have an array of delights for people to kind of be confused by.
yeah. Every 10 cards, we take a bye week, or as we were chatting about it beforehand, like a bisexual awareness week. I don't know why it's called a bye week. I know that from my sports days as a child, but
Yeah, it always confused me because I was like, is that like bi-monthly? Is that every 2 months or is that every twice every month? And no one has ever really been able to explain this.
and it's
Guys, we will be
definitely not
back in
bi in the
October.
sexy
See you
way.
later.
Yeah, definitely not bi in the sexy way. I wasn't making out with any of my teammates, sadly. But anyway, so we'll have a bisexual awareness week coming up. And that means it'll be Telegram chat stuff and more to share. And hopefully, because I'm trying to get this timed with the redesign, not quite a redesign, but making the store and the shamanic energy medicine stuff more available to buy on the website. So all those kind of things. That's the project in the background, and it will hopefully include more merch because James has been playing around in the store and we got some cool stuff coming up. I think just because I want them, like I'm now not just another beanie, but some of the water bottle options and other things we've been playing with look quite fun. so, so
You're going.
I'm doing this for me,
You're going to
basically.
look like by the end of this, you are going to look like one of those tourists in Milan that's just like covered head to toe in Louis Vuitton, like that. Just like the full brand is on display,
I always look
and I
like
can't
that.
wait.
Yeah, my final form. All right. Cool. Shall we move on to the order of the day, which is we'll start with the Tower Drafts. What do you think? Because this has been a fun one. This is one of these cards. I think some of the cards are very me. other cards are very you. And this one, if we go to the draft, has I think turned out. I think the tower is going to be a very you card.
Oh,
But
okay.
these are just the drafts, and like talk us through like the beginning idea, having got off the call last week slash 7 minutes ago, and started on the tower. We from memory it was we can go in two directions. We can have like a sclerotic crumbling down one, or we can kind of capture that idea by having a tower that's had a bunch of other stuff built on it.
Yeah. So initially, there was like an array of useful references available on the cunt board, and it was enough to really like inform kind of where I wanted to go. And yeah, it was. I think at first I was kind of looking at like Sagrada Familia and kind of like sandcastles and stuff, just for that kind of grown out of the earth like structure, but kind of randomized. And we wanted the plane of like some kind of plane in the background, so like fields or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like a kind of
And
develop.
this,
Really, that's just like a
I forget
development.
who it was, but someone in the Telegram chat afterwards shared like a screen grab from Vampire Hunter D, and
Yes.
that's how the twink ended up. The writer ended up making this card essentially, because there was something about it. It's very difficult, obviously, to demonstrate the scale of the structure when the card
Mhm.
is this shape, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so this, I think, really, really works. But so that was the beginning of it. We'll move on to where you finished up the week and talk to us about that. And it really does look like Marie Louise sitting on that horse. She almost looks like she's sitting side saddle, which seems very unlike her.
No.
But
I'll need to add in some highlight because like again, I'll look at this like full scale. There is like a leg, but it's tiny. It's a dot, so we don't
yeah,
know. Yeah. So initially, we operate on a day and night basis. So like I work through the day, my time, and then nighttime. Gordon awakes and it says morning. So initially, like I knew it was going to be daytime because we discussed that. And initially, I was doing it, and I was like, "This kind of looks." I kind of toyed with the idea of a desert because you had said it was. By the time it got to you, you said it was like June vibes, but I kind of wanted it to be in line with like the cloud card and other
yeah, I
cards
think
we've
it's
done,
southern
like in the same
France,
kind of
right?
on the same Jurassic island as those cards.
Yeah.
So it's
Southern
yeah.
France is kind of semi-arid because I had like a Montsegur thing going on, and that's sort of what.
I was kind of thinking of the Lightning Picard as well, actually, funnily enough, but that kind of like ideal, like the vineyard is there, but yeah, so just kind of taking the elements of the cunt board suggestions and then adding in our little flair, building up this kind of structure. So yesterday I said to you, do we want to go more bold, like more sort of grotesque or like just out there? So I just kind of added things on, but we could still go more and we could still go less if we have a look at the final, the sort of not the final, but the where we are now with it. Um, but it
I
was very
don't
very
know.
interesting to
Like,
draw.
yeah, I don't know because I like both executions, right? So I like the idea of it being a little bit more Gormenghasty rather than this is sort of like Oz, um, and not in a bad way. It's almost like the towers from another dimension or something, and I think I like that as well. But I like if you look at the first image, the sort of first sketch thing, which is obviously just a sketch, but going in that kind of sclerotic and crumbling way, is what I was initially thinking. Because I'm not sure where the final card is at the moment. The tower can. I don't see how that goes. I think that only gets cleaner rather than more crumbly. But am I wrong? Can you make that crumbly, or do you think that should just stay kind of like a invisible college extra dimensional Oz? Like it's almost like the tower isn't even there, and then it appears on a hillside on certain days of the year, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was like I just wanted to get the lines in and get the kind of the shape of the thing. So if we want to go a bit more rusticated, We can do that. It's not crazy. It's not like if anything, it's kind of easier to do because you're really just fucking something up. So that's like to make it more and that to make it more look like this. This is a thing with like any kind of artist or creative, like anyone that has to like do something visual that they're making. The sketch is always almost more naturalistic than like the final because the sketch you're like, who gives a fuck? It's a sketch. There's less control, there's less concern, and I had this in my early years at uni where people were like, tutors were like, we really like the energy of the sketch. It's a lot freer, and then by the time we get to the final product, it's a bit too tight. To which I always said, well, what the fuck do you think I'm here for? Like, do you want to maybe teach me this? But that's like we keep like, and eventually I cracked the code where it was like, oh, you just don't give a fuck as much. Like you just kind of let go of the control aspect. So that's not crazy to go back to that because it's kind of more fun to draw and that kind of playful sense. But it would be up to you, up to the group.
That's the trouble. Like people seem so. Keith's probably leaning towards a more like sclerotic crumble down one too, but I literally don't know. I actually see the merit in both executions.
Yeah. I was more like this week. Sorry, we're a little time delayed, so we're like doing our best, like Eurovision presenter kind of bits here. I kind of spent more time just with the background and with the lighting because I thought that would kind of either which way we went, that would kind of make the card essentially because it's all about it's like a light and it's like a light and dark shadow play kind of thing. So that's gives the nature of the card. So I'm happy going in whichever direction because both will work. So that's fine.
I don't know. So here's the thing, just from like a chaos magic perspective, the tower, the cathedral in Curtis Yarvin's sense, right? The authorities at the moment are more gleaming than they are crumbling down. Like
right,
it's more silicon
and as
and apps and so on. Like the tower, officialdom, orthodoxy at the moment is clean lines, and that didn't. And because I don't like authority, I wanted to go down a sclerotic tower angle. But now that I've seen a sort of beaming execution of it, like what is this, Facebook HQ? It's kind of, I don't know. You see, I literally cannot.
I get it. It's the line between like satire and reality of what we want to say about it. And it's as a deck for the times we live in, so that's kind of always something we have to think about. But we have a break, we have some work to do on other stuff. There's time to kind of marinate and like mess about and just kind of fuck about with it. But I like the layout of everything kind of works. The little rider is so cute. Like it's just like I kind of like that. It's a great.
That's great. Yeah.
So it's like one of those ones.
Chantal has a question about, does the openness of the one on the right give it more of a hopeful tone than the card usually has? So that's interesting because it's not necessarily a bad card. Like if you're an academic or if you have a career in some form of officialdom, that's what that is. It's also a school or a town hall or something. It's a place of officialdom.
Yeah. Is that sorry?
No,
is that final one? I don't think that final one is the. I've said because I sent like 4 of the. I don't think that third one on the right is the final version of it. I'll send it in the group chat, guys. But I think that was just a version. It may have been. It may have gotten sent. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know if that's right. Hang on, Colin.
Because I think it closed. I don't know. It's because it's maybe.
No, you only gave me those 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, then that is a valid point because that one on the last one on the right there is too open. I thought I think I have another version beyond that where I just shaded things in and created more shapes. And if not, then
then
that is something we will have to change.
well, you can drop that in the Telegram chat uh,
Yeah.
when we're done, and that's just proof that if you're not in the Telegram chat, you're only getting half the story.
Hey. Yeah, this was also interesting. Like you were right with things like the considering like the inset. So to kind of get that kind of again something to be said for the image on the left is there's more of a sense of I think height just because it's kind of ski with but because it's against the inset it kind of has the inset is the tallest part of the card, just physically. So there's kind of like an interesting thing where like you want the tower to seem large and imperious, but there's also this big giant, and you know what I mean. Like so, there could be like a if we do a run around on it, where that kind of perspective play, which is you can see in the first card, is a bit more. It's a bit more I don't know. It looks whilst it's kind of fallen off. Maybe we could do something like that where it's more clean and more representative of the tower as it would stand today. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I get what you're saying, and but we actually have quite a bit of that sort of like dramatic high camp perspective stuff in the deck already.
Yeah,
So in a way, it does belong there. But also, I think there's a confidence in the sort of technocratic one.
yeah.
Like
I was
it
kind of
has
thinking
its
that kind
own.
of Disney castle, like corporate kind of
It feels
CGI. Like I was gonna,
unassailable, right? It feels
yeah.
like nothing. It has a confidence that nothing's going to uh, impact it. And so I don't know. I say if we can, there's still this is just card 20, so we can still. Well, we're at the 20th point. You know what I mean? If it's not right, we can come back and do like a little bit more of a Barad-dûr crumbly tower. But yeah, I don't know. I think I want to see how the sort of Facebook HQ one turns out.
Plays out,
And
yeah. And
yeah,
it builds out of the this kind of outcrop, which was based on one of the images, and so there's like a little kind of dwarven entry into the outcrop that would like so that kind of all once the form is settled, we can like play with the light and things are a bit more. It's more gleaming, perhaps, and
yeah.
you can see more detail of the kind of the bits and bobs of the castle, the tower. Because I was as I was like drawing it, like so as again zoom like straight in, and you like I'm like thinking like, oh, who's like running about this like little section and what's happened? Like, are people like Game of Thrones and just pushing people out of windows, like doing the whole like bit for like many hours?
In the chat, people are saying that like the maze of bureaucracy is sort of more evident in the card on the right. So I
Yeah,
say we go in that direction to start with, and if it's fucked up, it's fucked up. But I don't think it is. I
it's
think this is
because
right.
as bureaucracy is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's okay, cool. We can do that. We've got a 2 week kind of a break for you guys, the gentle viewer, but not for us because we will be hard at work.
Absolutely. It's funny. So this only takes up a few hours. I mean, I've been doing Lenormand for years, so I could add that to it. But it only takes up a few hours of my week, maybe 4 or 5. And I'm like, this is pretty good. And I'm in complete denial that when I get to
Yeah,
the end of the UFO course, I have to
I
write a
don't.
book.
Yeah, I was like,
So you'll
I
be
was
coming
going
to
to
the
ask, I
end
was like,
going,
are you like
ah,
doing this week? I was like, are you doing this like week to week and just like updating some kind of log? But that's writer's
sort
business
of.
has nothing to do with me because that's much in the it's much the same as it is the opposite of drawing, like where it's just you just like it's a reality in a universe unto itself.
Yeah. It it's we are doing like a we have like a speech to text of all the episodes, but like the book is a full fortune telling book. So I've got the outline for it, and this is actually maybe this is where it is like drawing, maybe not. If I put the outline together, I'm like, it's practically done. It's just a couple of days left of just tappity tap tap tap, and the book will be
Yeah.
finished. So I know what I want to say, I just haven't said it yet, and I'm like, how long is that realistically going to take? 5 hours?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
had
That's the
literally
great
just
one.
finished a book earlier in the year, and it takes a little longer than 5 hours. So I'm in that. When you're talking about, you'll be working really hard on this over the next 2 weeks, and James will be doing some of the technical stuff in the background. I'll have a great time. I might just dick about in the Telegram chat.
Keep people's spirits up. That's fine.
Hang on, did we
Yeah,
do
that's the great
this?
world myth, isn't it?
Did the last time we had a bye week also coincide with the end of RuPaul?
We did one at 10, and I think there was an impromptu one because of reasons. I mean, potentially because RuPaul is a year-round event now, so
Yeah, but I'm
probably
sure
like 10
I'm
weeks
sure we had
ago,
like,
probably.
yeah, I'm sure we were gonna have like the grand final or like the
Of
RuPaul
season
final was on a
13,
week we went.
maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think because of
God.
the game within a game, we've still got a couple of episodes left, so we might end up timing it really well. This is
Correct.
only
Oh,
important to
yeah.
us, you understand. No one else
Of
following the
course, yeah.
project
Listen,
cares.
this sets as the children who are only a few years younger than I am say that is the vibe. So we're setting the vibe. People used to set intentions, we set vibes. It's
Nice
fine.
one. All right, so we are talking about the garden today, and I was thinking, and when we get to cunt board, no, we'll just do cunt board now. When you get, sorry, I'm only on one screen, everyone, so bear with as I move things around. So one of the things I like about, I think that the garden is one of the few cards that kind of classic Lenormand decks get right. Because it's called a garden, but it's kind of like Tuileries, which is up here. Oh no, that's Place des Vosges, which is one of my favorite places in the world. What they actually mean is like a public park. This is a social card. This is a card of community. This is walking around with unless you're in the hoop skirt, someone on your arm in a hoop skirt, greeting neighbors and gossiping and all that kind of dire Jane Austen crap, right? So it's that there's very little in terms of where I want to go with the card that steps outside of that, right? Like we talk about, and it certainly is the card of parties and fun and social activity. It's a card of community. It's also a card of convalescence and kind of like immune health. So, or microbiomal health is better because it's greenery, it's green things. And so it can be, and we'll notice this when we get to the inset, that actually no, there should be an inset. See, look at these trash cards that don't even put their actual playing card on it. It's rude. Look at that. So that's better. This card on, I don't want anything to look like that. These people look like Bruce Wayne's parents. That's terrible. But what I do want is basically the Place des Vosges, which is one of my favorite places in the world. That's this one here. Don't mess with me, can't board. Waiting for it to load. And there's a sort of drone shot of the same place. But the idea being that it's got trees and like a formal promenading place and people. And the people is key. Like when I say that it's one of the cards that Lenormand decks often get right, when I did a Google image search for it, there was a whole bunch of garden cards that don't have any people in it. And I'm like, it's like the card of state fairs and carnivals and all that and Christmas markets and all that kind of stuff, and it's a goddamn ghost town. But so that's Place des Vosges. Something like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a city park. I'm not sure what your thoughts are, Colin, about how you want it situated. Also, one of my favorite places in the world, top of Hyde Park. If there's fountains in it, there's fountains in it. But this one, again, not with the fruity people in it. But that kind of idea of there being stonework or fountains and formal bordered paths and trees. So yeah, that's. What do you think? Hang on, let me try and find the streaming software again. What are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I like the idea of the like a city garden. So there's like a skyline as a frame.
Yep.
Because that could it kind of plays back to like it's like a kind of more upbeat kind of pigeon card, bird card. Excuse my French. Yeah, so like I'm into that. That's cool. But yeah, it's like convivial. It's public. It's pretty. We can zhuzh it up and make it kind of in line with fool's fortune kind of
In the
debauchery, I'm
cinematic
sure.
universe.
Yes. Who coined that nonsense term? But yeah, no, I like that. That's again, it's like a solid set of images. So it's like you're doing like the heavy lifting of the sketch work for me, which I quite enjoy. And I like the idea of the fountain as like a central sort of feature, like
Yeah,
under the
cool.
inset, like not directly under, but like that kind of. So it's like a centered kind of balanced card. It's not a lot of our cards for the past few runs have been like to the left or to the right because
Yeah.
they're like kind of telling a story. But this is like a centered place, like a kind of enjoy, like yeah, like a convivial, balanced. You come there, it's fun, it's nice, it's everyone's having a little walk. It's not there's yeah, I'm into it. It's,
Yeah.
it's an oddly serene card for the day.
Yeah, but like it has to be. I mean, I went down different angles, like because I wanted it to be. It's also the card of like backyard barbecues and in the summer and lanterns in the trees and all that kind of. Like it's a really nice card.
Oh, yeah,
But that didn't. It's also the card of community. So
yeah,
it's actually the wider community, not just like it has to do that as well. So I just kept coming back to sort of the original execution of it. If you want to do, if it's going to be like a city park, so that there is, as you say, like the city in the background, make it Paris probably, or maybe not. This
yeah,
is another thought I'm having. Have it arranged so that, like, if we go back to the bouquet card, that's it, like very emphatically in Kew Gardens, but we don't
mhm,
necessarily say that. We say it just looks like those kind of glass houses. So even if it's just in your mind, and so only we know this, because I'm also only in your mind, I don't exist. If it's in your head, if it's in the same kind of landscape or area, even if you can't see a glass house in it, do you know what I mean? Like just to tie it into that cinematic universe. I'm not sure, but
right, yeah, yeah, nice, yeah,
because like
yeah,
Kew Gardens is a perfect example of why the card is called the garden when it actually means the park, right? Because that's all.
mhm,
But I want it to be more formal. That's got that capability brown, real English garden, fake natural landscape thing to it, which is lovely, but it's not. This card is a very specifically like French formal structured garden. They're not as you know as they've fallen into totalitarianism faster than the UK has. That's always been expressed or reflected in their garden architecture. It's always this dominance, this kind of like dominance of reason over nature.
mhm.
And I don't want it to be as violent as that, but I do want that kind of elegant formality.
Yeah. That's fun little thing is that didn't think that we were getting to the garden. Like I don't know much like from week to week what card we're doing. I just like hope for the best. I've been getting into watching just well. So the joys of an iPad and digital drawing is that you can have like a square up in the corner and you're watching something. You can do two things at once. Phil Spencer, the like property TV dude, going through like the like massive country pales and mansions of like there's like three seasons of it. It's extremely it's both erotic to me and soothing. So but Capability Brown comes up a bunch because he like does that design obviously a bunch of these like extremely manicured but oh like just so yeah that's definitely a world that I think I'm perhaps ready to delve into. And we can squeeze a
Well,
little bit of that Stars Hollow Town Centre into it as well, like that kind of the lights and the trees and things. We can play around and kind of
That's not a bad. So
meld the worlds.
that is a good idea of what a garden, because because that's quite formal as well. And you're right, that sort of town square version of the garden. That's interesting. Yeah, that's worth playing
We
with.
can
So
play.
you might
Yeah.
want to dispense with like that means, and which is fine, that the bouquet is still in the glass house in Kew Gardens, and the garden card is Stars Hollow or similar. But that if you with the it'd be a gazebo rather than a fountain, so you'd want to put a fountain in it. But yeah, exactly. So kind of like Place des Vosges, but with
Yeah.
more roadside around it and less built up, because that was yeah. All right,
Um,
cool. I'm into that.
Another slew of extremely straight male
Exactly.
references there for everybody. Yeah, no, cool. Like I'm feeling it. I'm into it. But that's yeah, definitely something to. It's the inset is spades, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something of spades.
It,
Guys, I do my
so it's the
research.
eight of spades. Now the interesting thing there, like I
There you
looked into
go.
it, is it's traditionally a card of sickness. So I think that's where the match comes from, because the garden is a card of rest and convalescence. So it's a weird, it doesn't match very well, but it does if you think, oh, hang on, like it's a card where if you've injured yourself or you just have to rest up or whatever, that will be, find where the garden card is, and it'll probably be ahead of you in the tableau. So that kind of makes sense. There's not additional insight. This is one of the ones that's quite far, I would say, from the traditional playing card meaning. But I get why they put that coffee ground idea of a garden.
Yeah.
I don't know what a garden looks like in coffee grounds. On on the
That's
eight
like
of spades.
a camellia region of where reason, if you really reason with a card, that does make total sense. Like where it's oh this and then this is the thing, and that's why that goes together. But with our soft little brains of the 21st century, we're just like, well, everything should be the same.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's worth knowing because it is almost like a secondary reading. Like the main reading is community and fun and barbecues, and the secondary readings are health readings and cruising. It literally is playing the field. I'm not like
Yeah.
that's what it also is. So if you're looking at, if you're doing a kind of classic "Does he love me" reading, see where he's cruising, right? Because it's actually no, he's more interested in playing the field. So the difference between where the heart is and where the garden would be is going to give you an indication of where he's at the moment, right? So it's like we were joking beforehand, and this I wanted it to be grinder. I wanted it to be like, this is the grinder card. How do I make it dirty? Because we did that to the butt card, and all the other cards are basically dicks, and but I can't. Like it actually has to be. It actually just has to be the garden.
Yeah, because
We just
if it
need to
was like
know.
the debauched version is like it would be at night and you couldn't see anything. Like that's the whole, you know,
That's the
that's
whole
the
point.
whole point, the whole joy of that.
Yeah,
For
but it
anyone
is
that
that
doesn't know what
card.
we're talking about, don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's because that happens here. Well, not here, but like at the Domain, which is the large kind of like city park for Hobart. That's where the older gays do their pre-internet version of Grinder. It's
Oh,
it's
and as like as
it's
from following enough, London Twitter gays, like as something that still happens, like in the below kind of 40 age range, but it just seems has been kind of made redundant. But it's one of those like quaint things. It's like
it's like
let's go to the
cheeky.
beach for the day.
Yeah.
It's like like let's just have a day or a night.
It's like
We can
Brompton
squeeze
Park's
we can squeeze some kind of perversion into it. Like truly, I think we could manage. Like there'll
crazy.
be someone in a bush somewhere to the side or something. Because
Yeah.
we didn't in the bouquet we couldn't we had to take away the the people
The humans.
walking through. So those two are now in the garden, fucking great. That's fine.
Excellent.
How it works.
Excellent.
That's how stories work.
Cool. All right. Funnily enough, speaking of cottaging, unless there's anything else we need to say about the card, what was your song choice?
So my so I was in that zone, like, because why would I not be in that zone? That's the only zone truly to be. My choice was George Michael. I was going to say Michael Jordan next side, because it's literally a song about fornicating and the not the wilds, but like the in parks and gardens
Well,
of whichever city you're in. And this was after a
that was
scandal,
Hampstead Heath,
and
wasn't it?
also
That's where
that
he got.
as I think it was LA. I think because I was like I looked at it. I was like, what was the? I think he got caught in LA. It was some, and I think that's what the outrage. See if it was London. I don't think anyone would have given a fuck. Like, but because it was like California, like
Am I
people.
thinking of Boy George? Who am I thinking of who got caught
He
in like
chained
court?
he chained the prostitute to the radiator.
That's
Different.
right. That card's coming up.
R.I.P. That guy. I don't think the guy died. Don't worry. Terrible that happened. And like as a chaser, Moloko Fun for Me, which literally has like a cruising reference, is in the last like section of it where she's like sit like, and she's basically a gay man.
Yeah, true.
Her name
Good choice.
evades me, but
Let's
she's
go outside.
fabulous.
Like I think you win because like I had dramas picking because this is going to be the card for Starships because Starships is about a party. That's literally there's no extra. I mean, there is in the film clip, the music video rather, but I wanted it. I wanted this is Nikki's time to shine, the garden, and I can't. Like I want it to be that, and it's not that it's a mismatch. It's just not as good as basically everything Kylie Minogue has ever done. But
As
in
yeah,
but in particular, Celebration from the 80s. You can also do the Gloria Estefan one. That's if you're butch, or dancing from the most from the most recent album. Because like honestly, 60% of Kylie Minogue's output is literally I'm going to go out and have fun and
cruising.
party with lots of
Yeah.
people. Like that's the whole lot of it. And that energy is the energy of the garden card. It is not a lockdown card.
Yeah.
It is a card of like hanging out with friends and partying and it has that Kylie frivolity. So mine is
Yeah.
celebration or dancing by Kylie. But I think Let's Go Outside is just like it's perfect. Because it's
It's yeah,
like
and
a
also like it
yeah.
took me back to that where like that I was of course only possibly 4 years old when that
Four?
came out.
Yeah.
But like like it was one of those ones where I was like, oh, this bitch is having fun with this, like, and it was a big scandal at the time.
Yeah.
Because people haven't done this for hundreds of thousands of years. So it was like looking at it was like a secret joy for like a not closeted because look at me, but like for like a young gay kid, it was like, oh, this bitch is like living it up, like just really having fun and being cheeky about it, like into it very much so.
Nice one. Nice one. Well, yeah, we'll be chatting. And for people who are in the chat, thanks for the contributions. And remember, we've got a bisexual week. Holiday by Madonna. Yeah, so that was actually on my list too. That's a
Oh,
good
cool.
choice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But people are inevitably talking about dogging. It's interesting that, oh no, the dogs have the
So
cards
I
owned.
don't understand the difference between cruising, dogging, cottaging. Like, are these all the same things? And it's just
I
like
th-
this is a
isn't
British way of
dogging
thinking about it. Like,
isn't dogging when you are watching. I don't know who does the dogging in this situation, but I thought it was
dogging's more like a
when people.
straight thing, I think.
But
Like, I
it's
think
when
that's
people
what my
have sex and other
understanding.
people watch it.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think that's it. But I don't know. Like this, I had this problem with like the pejorative cuck too. Like I don't know who the cuck is. Is it the person who is doing the cuckolding, or is it the person who's
Yeah.
being cucked? And same thing with dogging. I'm like I don't know who's is everyone dogging? Is it the couple having sex in the car
Like,
and everyone else watching it? I don't know. Cruising is very easy. Cottaging is cruising, but with a roof.
got you. That makes sense,
Yeah.
actually.
But I don't know who. I don't know who. Like, if I go and watch a straight couple have sex in their car by the highway, am I like, I'll put my hat on, see you later, I'm off dogging? Or is the couple dogging? I don't know.
It's yeah, that they didn't maybe they didn't have enough time in the old days to think about the phrasing of these things. I don't know. Too busy doing it, probably. That's the issue. Yeah, like it's a it's a whole new world, or whole old world for us young twinks to discover.
Exactly, exactly. All these things I read about on the internet, and definitely not in books because I don't read
No,
books because I am
no, no, no,
21.
no, no. It's all podcasts for us, I'm afraid.
No, podcasts are too millennial. Remember, we're like late millennial or
Okay.
early Zoomer.
So I guess
Awesome.
it's all TikToks, guys, from here on out.
Yeah. Cool. Well, again, jump in the Telegram chat if you aren't already doing so. And we have a bye week coming up, unless you're watching this on the replay in several months' time, in which case just go to the next video. But good
Yeah,
times,
or
everyone. Good times.
what? Bye.